all varieties of people lived here, all kinds of people. The Kongans who came from the Muslims, the Patanis, the Iravas, then the Brahmins, then a large Christian population. Large Christian population came on account of St. Francis Xavier, who is considered as the world's greatest evangelist. Now, the coming of the other communities was during or before the Portuguese arrival. They could have come earlier or they could have come afterwards. It's mixed up in a way. And they are confined to a place called Matancheri, which is also a part of Kochi. And the beautiful part of that aspect is they all live close to each other. They're divided by only a wall or a canal or by a single road. And that harmony, religious harmony, remained all these years, in spite of the fact the very next to a Hindu was a Muslim. The very next to him was a Patani or somebody who came from the north. And the next to that may be the Portuguese Christian. And there was religious harmony. And it continued for years and years together. We are known for that harmony. And of course, the Portuguese remained long, for a very long time. And because of evangelization, it remained so, it could remain in longer years. But not so the Dutch. During the Dutch period, we had some influence with the present day Denmark, those areas. The colony was primarily Dutch colony. So the Dutch language was spoken a little bit in Kerala and also in Sri Lanka. Dutch came via Sri Lanka. They first took over Sri Lanka. Then in a battle, they came here and took over Kochi. But the Dutch hardly ever mixed with anybody. They were poor mixers and poor traders also. They were not really like the British. And they were poor fighters too. They lost the war against the British. But they were good at one thing. They classified our medicine. And that was a great event, I would say so. And very little is being spoken about it in the world. 14 books have been written on it in those days. And that is very admirable. The Dutch were not that bent on converting people or anything like that. They never mixed or mingled with others. So the Dutch history is there in Fort Cochin, but the traditions are not followed. The buildings are Dutch to a large extent. Dutch buildings, so many Dutch buildings are here, beautiful, but no tradition, Dutch tradition. They lived above or around us, but not among us. That's the difference. Whereas the Portuguese lived among us. The British also lived among us. My own uncle, after the death of my grandfather, took over the reins of the municipality and ran the first municipality which was under the British. And we tried to retain the culture of all the three empires, tried. But on account of the tremendous influence that other people have on the other side of Cochin, in the state of Cochin, the Muslim, the Hindu and others, it's not possible for one to preserve all these things because they too have a clout. There is no more longer what you might call genuine British or genuine Portuguese or Dutch remaining, except perhaps in the buildings which are still being Portuguese or Dutch and very little of any British, and there are culinary habits, and that is being continued. Even culinary, in the sense that you should also include the Waipin Island. That's also part of British Cochin at the time, now being separated by the water. And the culinary art was continued on because of a large section of Anglo-Indians living here. Much of the Portuguese jargon and the Dutch influence are all gone. And the Chinese words are here. A lot of the Chinese words are there. The Chinese is not real red China that you are talking about or thinking of. The Chinese is Portugal had a Chinese colonies. That influence also came. Chinese people came from there. One influence is Malacca. Malacca, Fort Cochin and Malacca was started almost at the same time. Same time. As a matter of fact, St. Francis Xavier, who was the world's greatest evangelist, died in Malacca. He went from Kochi to Malacca, died in Malacca, and his body was returned to Cochin. Now it's being interred in Goa. So he was here, traveling all around, and he went to China also. As China was a part of the treatment that we received from many parts of the world, China is very significant because a lot of our things are known by Chinese name. Even the next is called China Wala, China Patakam, China Kasara, China Patram Chatti, China Chatti, all of these China. Possibly could have come from Malacca than from mainland China.